Welcome to Filmfest Munich, also on behalf of America House München. Why am I saying this? Because my name is Dominik Rabe. I'm the program director here at America House, and I will shortly introduce to you the moderator of today's panel, Transvisionen. And the background is America is offering 2 exhibitions right now that deal with transgender identity, and one of these exhibitions is called Transatlantic Transgender Histories, and today's moderator is one of the co-curators of this exhibition. And I don't want to get into details about the exhibition, but I would firstly kindly invite you to look at the exhibition on the 3rd and 4th floor, and also tell you a little bit more about Alex. Alex is a freelance historian from the Netherlands. He's a writer and curator, and he specializes in transgender history. He is also a writer and author for films, amongst which I would like to point out I'm a Woman Now from 2011 and Transit Havana from 2016. And he also is a publisher of several books, and one of them is called Others of My Kind, also Transatlantic Transgender Histories, which is basically the book that came out of the exhibition, which is on display on the 3rd and 4th floor. And we discussed this yesterday, and it's important for us to say this, and that Alex is also has also made the trans experience himself, and we feel and wish that this would actually not be necessary to mention, but we think it's important in this context when we talk about transgender community. And this was also, I just want to briefly mention this. This was also very important to us when we curated and when we made the exhibitions here in this house, because we didn't want to make exhibitions about trans people or the trans community, but also include the trans community and actually have the exhibitions curated by members of the transatlantic transgender community. I'm getting mixed up, sorry. Alex, you were here already for the exhibition opening end of March, and it's a pleasure to have you back for tonight's panel. And the stage is yours now, and I'm looking forward to an exciting discussion. Thanks.
Thank you, Dominik, and thank you, America House and Filmfest München for inviting me. It's really an honor, and I'm very happy to do it. What was the idea here? That I sit over there, yeah, and you come sitting over here, right? Okay, I'll take my place then as an extra mic. So we're talking today with about 2 movies, but not about the movies themselves necessarily, only about them, but the topic of trans in cinema, trans stories, trans identities, and from 2 films that are programmed here at the Filmfest. I invite Marcelo Gomes and Kika Sena de Nascimento from the movie Paloma, and a translator. So yeah, it's best if you sit over there so the translator can secretly whisper in your ear. Then we have one, I think, one chair too much. And from the movie Breath of Life, Daniele Coluccini, see? And Matteo Botrugno. Yeah. So, I'll say just a quick word about the movie, the movies that you're presenting here. So the movie Paloma, I saw it yesterday at the world premiere, and if you haven't seen it, who hasn't seen it already? The movie. Oh yeah, So, you know what you need to do? I'll look it up for you. I think it's Monday. Monday, 12 o'clock, HFF, the next screening of the movie. Because I loved it. It's a beautiful, warm, very touching movie about a very devout Catholic, poor, hardworking trans woman in Brazil who has set her mind to getting married in church with the acknowledgement of the Catholic Church. Very beautiful. Then that's a fiction movie. Then we have here the Italian documentary, which will be screened in more than 2 hours here downstairs in the big theater room. Who has not seen that one yet? I think everybody, because it's a premiere in Munich, right? So I hope we'll meet you all later on this evening. I'll be doing a Q&A with you afterwards about that movie as well. This is a fascinating documentary about a 97... Now 98.
In a month.
In a month, right. In August she will turn 98. Italian woman from Bologna, a trans woman who survived Dachau, the concentration camp Dachau, when she was young, and still has to deal with those memories. What we're going to do now, I hope, in this panel is talk about, like I said, transgender in cinema, about representation, authenticity, the protagonist, how do you choose them, how do you work with them, questions around emancipation, about storytelling, and perhaps even about cliches or taboos you would like to avoid. So we're going to talk about that, and later on I hope to invite you as an audience also to join in or to ask questions to these makers. Now the thing is, I think we should try to avoid spoilers, right? Because that won't be nice if we give away too much for the audience. But we want to talk about your movies, of course. So keep in mind that you don't tell too much mostly about the story, right? How it ends, etc. So, first off, Kika and Marcelo, yesterday you had your world premiere. Kika, how did you experience that?
Foi minha primeira vez com uma estreia no cinema e eu fiquei super emocionada.
This was my first premiere in cinema overall, and I was very touched.
Eu venho de um lugar onde, para mim, estar aqui parecia ser impossível. E
I come from a place where one may think that to be here, where I am right now, would be impossible.
E apesar dos retrocessos que a gente está vivendo no nosso país, no Brasil,
In spite of the waywardness that we've been experiencing in Brazil in the past years,
eu consigo ver que ter uma atriz protagonizando um filme tão delicado e bonito é um avanço, né, na história do cinema brasileiro.
and that's why I think that having an actress like me being the protagonist of such a delicate, such a beautiful film, it's a sort of advancement, like it is a progress in Brazilian cinema.
É isso.
That's it.
And Marcelo, how did you experience yesterday evening?
We were very touched. Was our first screening here in Munich. It's the first time we were here in the city. Was amazing the way that people reacted for the film, you know, and I really love it because people were laughing, smiling, crying. Sorry.
But
Yeah, my voice is a little bit complicated, but I'll try to do my best. Yeah, and the reaction were really beautiful, and the Q&A, the way that people were talking to us about the film, how they felt the film, because and I think it's much more important in our film to portray the idea of Paloma to build up a family in the way that she wants, to build up a dream in the way that she wants. That's the most important thing. And in a way, the film is universal because everybody can relate with the film. Everybody has a dream and wants the dream that comes true. And that's what Paloma does in the film. And we were very touched. I think people had a reaction that was really beautiful. And please go to see tomorrow. Tomorrow on Monday. But there is another session as well on Wednesday. There are two more.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have to say that again at the end so they don't forget. And but if you compare it to the reactions in Brazil, because you already had your premiere at home, I guess.
No, we didn't have the premiere at home. That was our world premiere. We are looking forward to see how it's going to be the reaction in Brazil. Brazil, as you know, is facing really hard time. We had a very conservative government since 4 years ago. This government is building up a policy of hate against the minorities. And, Brazil is the country that kills more trans population in the world, right? And every year, the amount of violence against the trans people is going up and up and up. So, and you have a government that in a way or another supports that, because the way that they speak, is a form to support this hate and this violence against these trans people.
So in that sense, it's really a political movie now, would you say that?
Sure. We shot this movie in the beginning of this conservative moment, and 3 years after the film is ready to be presented, we don't know how it's going to be the reaction, but you have the strength to fight with them. We are prepared to fight together with the conservatives because they're going to make really a big fuss against the film, for sure.
Okay, really. Okay. We'll get back to that later. I'm curious about the situation in Brazil. But that's really also the spirit of the movie, right? To be strong and to fight and to go for your dreams. Daniele and Matteo, the title of your movie in Italian is C'è un soffio di vita soltanto. Yes. It seems to me like that those are more words than in the German and the English translation.
We
something lost in translation.
Something lost in translation. Yeah.
Something lost. Yeah, in English we try to concentrate the sense, the meaning. Yes, the right translation is "There's nothing but a bread of life."
Okay.
The right translation, but because this is a verse of a poetry of Lucy. Yeah. Lucy, our main character, that wrote a poetry when she was 14 years old. And she wrote this poetry. And the last verse of this poetry was, "There's nothing but a bread of life." That is almost prophetic of her incredible, dramatic life.
And she wrote that when she was 14 years old.
Yes.
Not now.
But she can remember now every poetry she wrote. So when we asked her during the interviews, we asked her, Lucy, can you tell us some poetry? Some poetry was a kind of ironic or funny because it's dedicated to old friends. But this one, it wasn't ironic, and it's speaking about the fragility of nature, of the autumn, of fall. Yeah. Leaves brown, falling, and it's a kind of melancholic poetry. And the last verse is, "There's nothing but a bread of life." And so it was the right title of the movie.
We watched each other and it's okay, we have the title of the movie. Okay.
We don't need to think anymore.
Yes.
That's the title.
Yes. The second day of shooting.
Yes.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
Then you know you have
because
something.
the movie was just Lucy, and then we find
work title was Lucy, I guess.
The first one.
We didn't have a title.
How did you come across her story?
It was a very lucky story, because one night I was just scrolling my Facebook homepage, and I saw an interview that Lucy did like 10 years ago, and I sent it immediately to Matteo, and we said, oh, it must be a lot of material about this story.
Someone
because
probably made a lot of movie on,
Yes.
on this story.
And we cannot find anything. So we grabbed our cameras and went straight to Bologna, where she lives, and we did a 2 days interview with her, and she told us her entire life in like two days. It was very touching, very moving. And then we came back to her, and we decided to do another kind of movie. We didn't want to classical documentary.
Yeah, the classic Talking Head documentary.
And then we followed her. We stayed with her like in a year and a half, with the pandemic in the middle. So we can't be there like every day. We had lockdowns in Italy, and but we tried to stay with her as much as we can. And after 1 year and a half, we bring her back to Munich, here in Dachau. And I don't want to say too much words about
because,
this.
because she was invited by the concentration camp. Now is a museum, so she was invited she's invited every 5 years. Because she's a survivor, and this time, because of the pandemic, totally was everything was cancelled. So we tried to go anyway with a car from Bologna. From Bologna with a car, yes.
With the 96
with a
lady.
100-year-old lady. And
a road movie almost.
Yeah, that kind of road movie. Yes, it was an adventure, definitely. And we bring her here in Dachau, and probably it's her last time because she's tired now. She's not so bad, but.
We'll talk more about it after your screening in the Q&A, because then you can tell us how no spoilers, and you can tell the audience how what it meant to her, for her to be there. I think we see that also in the film, but it's a good topic to talk about afterwards. You said you thought after stumbling upon her story, she must have been filmed 100 times because it's so exceptional, right? But she was not. Why? Is that a coincidence? Was she never approached, or did she herself not want to be filmed?
Probably for the same reason why nobody wants to give us money when we ask to do this movie. We wanted to tell this story, but nobody gave us money at the very beginning when we just presented the project, just saying, okay, we have an extraordinary story, a story about a transsexual woman who was in a soldier, a deserter during the 40s, during the Second World War. And after being arrested and deported to the concentration camp, and then the life that began again after the concentration camp. So, but nobody looked interested in this topic. I think there is a lot of maybe still now a lot of taboo about this topic. It's very strange because in the fictional film in Italy, transsexual women are always told like always the same topics, prostitution and something like that. We just wanted to give another view, another point of view, and Lucy's point of view is complete because she her battles, her identity, her way to express herself. It's the same. We are not like Lucy, me and Daniele. We are not, but we are like Lucy. We share with her these battles and the way to consider the battles for freedom
And
for,
identity.
and identity, the same important as our battle. So.
So apart from this fascinating notion of a 97-year-old or 98-year-old
98.
person with this life history, what is for you really the movie about? Apart from that extraordinary facts, is it about life and trying to find your way, or
Yeah.
could you say something to that?
I think that everyone that watched the movie says the same thing, that everyone can relate very closely with Lucy, because her battles, as Matteo was saying, are the battles that we like humans every day have to come across. And the expression and the affirmation of our identity. And the identity is not like something in the stone. It's like something fluid that changes over time. And we are not the same people that we were like 10 years ago. And the identity is like that. And we want to everyone experience the beauty of expressing and sharing with the world the identity, no matter what.
Yeah. Marcelo, how did you come across the story of Paloma?
Well, 10 years ago, I read in the newspaper the story about this trans woman. She works in a plantation, in a papaya plantation, and she lives in a very small town in the middle of a very unpopulated area and poor area of Brazil. And she decided to get married in a Catholic church. And the whole population of the city got really upset and decided to go against this idea. And it was Paloma against the city. And that story, I got really emotional about that story, because I want to make films about questions that I don't have answer. When I have answer, I don't need to make films about. I want to share with the audience things that I don't know about life. Why Paloma wants to get married in a church?
That
right?
was the thing you did not understand.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
desire to marry in church.
Yeah, and the thing is, we see a story that talks about love and prejudice, faith and conservadorism, affection and hate in the same story. And it's the moment that Brazil faces a very strong violence against the trans people. That one story that could be very interesting to show in the cinema, could be very important, politically very important to show in the film, because someone that her body is ready to work for the capitalist system, but she's not ready to have dreams, or maybe to be supported by institutions like the church, right? That's one thing. And another thing is about a woman, a trans woman, that wants to build up a family, And the way to build up a family is for her to have a very not normal, but a very standard relationship with her boyfriend. And she has got doubts about her love. And that's the moment as well, that's a universal story, because everybody has got doubts about love, about our love. It's a drama, it's a romantic drama. And in the way that she thinks that her relationship is going to be more stable is throughout the liturgy, because she's very Catholic. And throughout the liturgy, she thinks that her family is going to be more together. God's going to bless the whole family. And the institutions forbid her to have that dream. Now, in a country that you see violence against the trans people every day, I think this story is very human and needed to be shown to everyone. And I was really touched about the reaction I had from the audience, because everybody said, "Oh, I am Paloma. I am Paloma." You know, everybody was like Paloma. You know, transcend the question that Paloma is a trans woman or not.
Right.
It's something about love and something about to have the right to dream.
Yeah.
We share a lot in this topic here.
Yes.
So
We
I
share-
saw your film already,
Yeah.
and there are so many similarities, you know, with the film.
And Kika, how did you? What did you think of the character of Paloma when you read the script? When Marcelo told you about it, he directed you. Could you? Did you recognize things in her, or were there more things you did not connect to?
O Marcelo, no princípio, não me deu o roteiro. Ele me contou o resumo da história e perguntou se eu estava disposta a trabalhar com ele e a confiar na história que ele tinha para contar.
So at first, Marcelo did not give me the screenplay. He gave me a summary of the story and said if I'd be willing to work with him in telling the story.
E logo depois eu não conseguia me identificar com a Paloma, porque eu sou completamente oposta.
And right in the beginning, I could not relate, I could not identify with Paloma because I'm a completely different person.
Eu sou expansiva, eu sou ativista dos direitos de pessoas pretas e pessoas LGBTQIA+. E a Paloma, eu não sou católica, sou, inclusive, filha de uma macumbeira.
Yeah. So just for starters, I am very expansive. I am an activist, both in the Black Brazilian movement, but also in the LGBTQA+ movement. I'm also not a Catholic, but I am macumbeira. That is, I belong to one of these African Brazilian religions.
E quando eu comecei a perceber que a Paloma ela estava dentro da minha casa, quando eu via a minha mãe, que apesar de não ser católica, tem os seus sonhos, é muito religiosa, e me transpassa essa vontade de correr atrás da vida. Eu pensei numa frase da Paloma, logo depois, quando eu já tinha um roteiro, que era: quem é que não merece um sonho? Quem não precisa de um sonho? Da minha mãe.
And that's when I started, when I realized what connected me to this character was seeing my own mother at home and seeing this woman who loved dreaming. And that's when I came to realize, like, who is not deserving to have their own dream? And that's when, for me, it clicked, like, that I saw this potential of Paloma in everyone.
E aí, quando eu quebrei essa barreira do julgamento, eu comecei a me ver na Paloma. Então, para mim, começou a ficar mais fácil pensar como a Paloma quando eu comecei a acolhê-la.
And when I broke this barrier of judgment, that's the moment when I started seeing myself in Paloma. First, I had to take in Paloma. I had to show her affection and then let her in to start seeing myself in her.
And it seems to me as a viewer, the goal Paloma has is to become as normal as possible, more or less. She is sort of from a simple life, traditional even, and she seems to look for a very traditional female role to play, including the marriage, but also the rest of her life. How do you feel about that? Does that resonate with you, or do you know?
Todos nós precisamos de aprovação, né, de validação. A Paloma, enquanto uma mulher transgênera, ela precisa se reconhecer enquanto mulher e ser reconhecida. E o casamento é uma chave para esse reconhecimento.
We all need approval, we all need validation. And Paloma, as a transgender woman, she realized that it is through marriage that she can get one of these validations that she seeks as a woman, through traditional marriage.
E no nosso caso, no caso de pessoas trans, a gente toma hormônios, enfim, faz procedimentos estéticos para se parecer com aquilo que a sociedade diz do que é ser uma pessoa de um determinado gênero.
And in our case, being trans and being a trans woman, we take hormones, we do aesthetical procedures because we want to fit in that picture that society has as to how we're supposed to look like.
Só que o que a sociedade, acho que a sociedade mundial, ao praticar as opressões contra pessoas trans, não se percebe é que essa sociedade ela faz procedimentos estéticos para parecer, para ter validação da sociedade. Essa sociedade põe silicone, põe aplique de cabelo, faz harmonização facial. Então,
so what this society that judges us does not understand or fails to realize is that we're all also bound to the same judgment, and we're all seeking to this aesthetic approval. So it is the same society that judges us for trying to fit in this role. It's the same society that puts up silicone breasts, or it's the same society that does hair transplants, or it's the same society that is always trying to go through these aesthetic procedures to also look in the way they think they're supposed to look.
E como o colega comentou, né, estamos todos em transição, gente. A gente nunca é a mesma pessoa. Então, assim, eu acho que, basicamente, enquanto sociedade, quando a gente se reconhecer em transição, talvez a gente pare de condenar uma pessoa porque ela está transicionando para ser algo que ela quer ser, que ela tem o direito de ser.
And as our Italian colleague said, I think it is vital for us to realize that we are all in transition. We're all having identities in transition. And the sooner we realize this as a society, is that we're going to stop judging people who are transitioning to just be that what they want to be and be that what they have the right to be.
Me, myself, I'm from the Netherlands, and I've always felt as a trans person to be born in the Netherlands is one of the easiest countries, or not, to be born in, because in the Netherlands we are protected by law. There's medical care that is accessible for all. You don't have to pay it for yourself. There is some, I think, meanwhile, quite a level of acceptance. There's positive media portrayal, so things are looking generally, very generally, quite okay. And I understand that in Brazil things are getting not better but worse. How is that in Italy? What is the context for trans people now in Italy?
The context is not so easy. We have, of course, Vatican. And that's a very...
but technically, we have healthcare like Netherlands.
Yes.
Like the Netherlands, healthcare, protection, psychological assistance.
But we are experiencing a lot of problems because not for the younger generations, because younger generation are far away from the political
Issues or problems, or propaganda.
Propaganda, yes. And the politicians are like 50, 60 years in the past. Fortunately, we have a younger generation that are far beyond them, far in front of them. We didn't have a very ugly moment in the Italian politics in the recent times, because we had a very big and important law that
To be approved by the parliament.
that has not passed, that put un aggravante for violence against not people, but against LGBT people as disabled people.
Disabled people.
And because black people, because black people is already there, but we don't have.
This law was meant to protect minorities.
Yeah, to protect, yes.
But
Because
the law
if
did
you
not-
commit a crime,
I
if you commit
understand.
this is worse because of this,
Right.
Yes,
issues.
and when the law didn't pass, all the parliament,
no, half of the parliament.
half
Half of the
parliament,
the half
okay.
part that
Yeah.
didn't vote the law.
and
Yeah.
went up
stand
and
up and
started
make
like
an
laughing
Right.
and
Is that
applauding.
the same sort of backlash we see in
Yes.
the US from the
Yes,
right-wing
it was
family?
Yeah.
like that. It
Family
was like
supportive.
that.
And we felt ashamed for them, and we are a little bit tired to be ashamed for someone else in Italy. So for answering your questions,
And-
that you told, the situation politically is like Daniele told.
Yeah.
Shit. Okay.
It's shitty. Okay.
But we as society are not.
Yeah.
And although trans people
You
are
not? Sorry?
No,
We-
as a
we as
society, a civil society, as a-
are not like them.
community is completely different from the
From
propaganda of
But this is
politics.
interesting. When you talk, on one hand, there's the law. On the other hand, there's a social acceptance or a way of thinking. In Brazil, it seems to be
Should stay together, but
yeah, but
they're
in
not.
Brazil, it's almost the other way around, like right? Because the laws are very progressive and supportive. In Brazil, like in Argentina, and I think Chile, some other countries in Latin America, are on the level of making laws for trans people in protecting their rights, in protecting marriage rights, but changing your name, getting your gender marker correct in the administration, all those kinds of things are in law very progressive, even more so than in the Netherlands and in Germany. But in reality, could you share a bit?
Kika can say more about
Yeah.
that for sure. But first I have to say that Vatican is in our film as well.
Yes.
But I'm not going to say why, because it's going to be a spoiler. And secondly, I think what it was important to me to show in the film was that micro-violence that happened in the day-by-day life of trans people in Brazil. You know, it's like in small situations, little situations, a day-by-day life that Paloma has to face. I think that's really, really important because every day happens in Brazil, apart from the laws that are very advanced. But because there is a society that preserves the hate against the trans people. And Kika can explain very well about that.
É um ódio e um amor ao mesmo tempo, na minha perspectiva. Porque, ao mesmo tempo em que a gente tem essas leis que são para nos proteger,
It is at the same time a hate and a love, because at the same time that we have these laws that are supposed to protect us,
o Brasil ainda é o país que mais mata mulheres trans e travestis no mundo.
Brazil is still the country that most kills transgender people in the world.
E ainda assim é o país que mais consome pornografia trans e travesti no mundo.
And is at the same time the country that most consumes transgender porn in the world.
Então, eu penso que é uma relação de amor e ódio. Na minha experiência, eu não posso ser considerada uma mãe de família, por exemplo.
So I think it is basically a love-hate relationship. And for instance, in my case, I cannot be considered a family mother.
E eu sou uma mãe de família.
And I am a family mother.
Eu tenho um filho.
I have a son.
As pessoas não me respeitam, elas acham que eu estou disponível, principalmente os homens no Brasil, disponível para satisfazer o prazer sexual deles.
And people do not respect me. They always think that I am available, especially men in Brazil, that I'm always available to satisfy their wishes, their desires.
Mas, ao mesmo tempo, eu sou a pessoa que essas pessoas procuram para matar sua curiosidade, né? Me objetificar ou... é isso.
I'm used to being this person that people want to try out of curiosity, that are going to try out to see, what it is, if they have the curiosity in the back of their minds, the desire.
A gente está vivendo um momento no Brasil onde estão se fazendo muitas pesquisas sobre mulheres trans, pessoas trans, na literatura, no cinema, no teatro, em muitas áreas. Mas, ao mesmo tempo, essa pesquisa ela tem um interesse de popularizar a questão trans no Brasil, só que, ao mesmo tempo, ainda assim, a maioria delas com o objetivo de objetificar e não trazer subjetividade para nós, enquanto pessoas trans.
So we live a moment in Brazil where there is a lot of research, a lot of interest in the matter of transgender in literature, in cinema, in theater, and there's a lot of research being conducted. At the same time, a lot of this research does not lead to gaining or granting subjectivity to the people who are being researched, but only more objectifying.
E o que mais me encanta na Paloma é que ela é sujeito e não objeto. Então, é um olhar de subjetividade sobre uma pessoa trans, sobre a história de uma pessoa trans, como a história de qualquer pessoa.
And what I find most enchanting about Paloma is that she is not an object, she is a subject. She's full of subjectivity, and it is the story that she's living through her eyes. It could be the story of any other subject.
Sorry, Kika, also Lucy is a Magi Famiglia. It's a mother family. Yeah. Because, and this means that even a 100 years old transsexual woman or a younger or a young person can realize that can build a family anyway, and it's not important, as someone told us, that we have to be two, mother, father, and to construct a family in this scheme. But maybe also Lucy is much older than us together, and she realized this at the end of 50s in Italy, at the beginning of 60s, and this is good because it's a way to think at our community, to look forward because we can construct different families and to be a Magi Famiglia anyway.
And that's a very touching moment, I think, in your movie when she talks about her daughter. Yeah, as you will see. Oh.
No spoiler.
No spoiler. So, in talking about a trans in cinema, I'm curious. Do you remember, for individuals, what is your first memory of the image you grew up with about trans people in film or TV? Is that something that you saw when you were a kid, or something like that stuck with you? And that can be a good, a positive an example, or a negative one. I think in
we
Italy,
grew up in the 80s
I would say Fellini.
and 90s.
Is Fellini, has he been of importance in showing trans people?
I can remember, like, what's the film? Oddio. Mi ricordo le battute, ma non mi ricordo le cose.
Dimmi le battute così magari.
Just tell the example.
Quello di Matrix.
Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. I grew up with that.
Queen of the Desert,
and
right.
There's one.
But because you choose this colorful story, but we grew up with a different kind of stories about this. It was kind of ridiculous when we.
Yes, but I when I grew up and I just maybe came out with myself as being gay, and I try to always to look at the picture and the movie, and maybe there's the first really free people in transition that I remember.
Do you know the movie Priscilla, Queen of the Desert? It's like a classic one. It's a very positive vibe, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But you said there was also another story.
When we grew up with Italian television or Italian cinema, average cinema, the image we had of trans people wasn't good. Was a kind of ridiculous, something to take joke of.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you remember?
I was just trying to
Hello?
remember here. In the 60s and 70s in Brazil, we had a dictatorship, very severe dictatorship, right? And the trans women used to be arrested every time. But there was a trans woman that was very popular in Brazil. Her name was Rogéria. She became very popular because she used to be in the carnival in Brazil. She used to be a main supporter of a football team. There was a team that was called Flamengo, and she created a group of people that was Flagay. That's in the 70s. And she used to say, I am the trans woman of the Brazilian family. That was, I think, the first positive person that I remember. And she was very popular in Brazil. Very, very popular.
Sounds like you could make a documentary about it.
Yeah, someone made a documentary
Oh, they already did. Okay.
already about her. Yeah. Sorry? Divine's Divas, about the trans women in the 70s and 60s in
Really?
Rio de Janeiro that were very repressed by the dictatorship.
Okay.
And she was a kind of a leader, right?
So was that an important movie? Was it well
It
received?
was an important movie.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a very interesting documentary to see.
Okay, I didn't know it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was like the first trans woman in television, in the television program. But regarding the cinema, the experience I have, they're not good. They are in the idea of to objectify and make fun of the trans women.
sexualize.
Yeah.
The problem with our medias like television and cinemas, it was that they always try to play with the double role. Oh, is there a female, or is she a male? Is it a female? That's the thing that we all grew up with.
Binary,
With this binary confusion that you have to be like what you have under.
And in cinema, we still have a problem. In cinema, we
Yes.
still have a problem. That's because there is, in Italy, for example, there is no transsexual
Actresses or actors
or actors.
actors.
There is a man that act for a transgender or opposite or a girl.
And
there is no
and
trans.
it's never the arrived sex. It's always
always the sex
Yeah.
from the.
These are
Yeah.
the things we know, and lots of bad examples, I
Yeah.
guess, in the past, also in the mainstream movies. And you, as filmmakers, did you feel, or do you feel, sort of extra responsibility when you're making this movie about
Yes.
transgender?
Yes.
And you yourself are not trans.
Yeah,
How-
of course,
how-
Yes,
of
of
course.
How did you
It's a big
work with that?
responsibility. The only responsibility we have is to, when we talk about something we don't know and what we
experience.
we don't experience completely. It's the only responsibility we have. We don't have any responsibility with any producer, with any distributor, with no one, but people we are talking about. So, and when our movie was premiered, and after a lot of screenings in Italy, the trans community in Italy was very supportive
with us.
and enthusiastic with the movie. So this is probably the best result we had
Yes.
from this movie.
But was it different from making your other movies? Although the other movies were fiction, right? So this was
The first two were fiction. Yeah.
Yes, it's very different approach.
Marcelo, did you feel sort of pressure to, I mean, nowadays there's often talk or criticism from trans communities for creative people who make movies or books or whatever with a cis gaze, it's called, right? A cis, so not transgender gaze. That's sort of a fear or a threat. And how did you feel in that
I felt
sense?
that I had a very big responsibility in that film regarding Brazil in that moment, double responsibility. So first of all, I was shooting a documentary in the same region that I was going to shoot the fiction afterwards. So I had the opportunity to meet a lot of trans women that live in that region that has got a life very similar with my character, Paloma. That's one thing. The other thing, I had the real Paloma to know more about her. Third, I invited Tertuliana Lustosa, that's a writer, a trans woman that's a writer, to revise the script. So she was the consultant of the script, right? And so we were very cared about everything. And afterwards, we decided that all the characters that were trans in the film had to be played by trans women. First, because it's a chance to give a job for trans actors that has not got no many opportunities in the industry. And regarding the subjects, that's a good, important job for them. Secondly, they could bring a bit of affective memory and to give a little bit for the characters. They are completely different from the characters, but they could give something for them. And as well, they could share with me and the group things that we have to reflect. There was a moment that Kika said, I think this is not right. Why you don't change that? Don't touch that and that. And it was a very important thing because there was a moment that the film said the name, the old name of Paloma, and Kika said, I think you are right, or you are wrong. Let's not mention, because that person is dead.
That's just very...
she was very important that moment.
I recognize, that's just often a sensitive thing for trans people.
Yeah.
For me as well. I would never like that, because, you shouldn't... For others, it's okay, but for some people, it's sensitive. So, Kika, those are the things you could help Marcelo with?
Acho que estar presente no filme já foi uma grande colaboração. Ser uma travesti preta, periférica, nordestina, já foi uma das grandes colaborações.
I think just being present in this film was already a great collaboration, a big collaboration. Being a trans black woman from the periphery, from the Northeast, that in itself, that I was being there as protagonist was already a big collaboration.
Acho que o meu trabalho com contação de histórias, eu trabalhei com contação de... Está todo mundo me ouvindo, né? Ok?
Yeah.
Foi?
No.
Preciso repetir. Tá. Tá. Acho que ser uma travesti, uma mulher trans, que tinha acabado de se formar em artes cênicas, que tinha desenvolvido também pesquisas relacionadas à voz e à palavra em performance, e poeta e contadora de história, também foi colaborações que me ajudaram a encontrar a Paloma e, consequentemente, ajudaram o Marcelo nessa contação de histórias, né? Acho que tem um momento no roteiro que a gente...
No, and I think like from already having this career of having graduated in theater and also doing a lot of theater, both like directing and acting and being a poet, like a multi-artist. These are already all things that already could help me have this vision in cinema to like contribute to this collaboration.
E acho que tem um momento de poesia quando Paloma conta uma história que Marcelo, que acho que foi uma colaboração assim que eu considero muito importante, muito emocionante no filme, que ele me deu uma história e falou: improvisa em cima disso.
And what I feel like that I took from poetry, this is one moment in this collaboration, is that my character is supposed to like tell the story, and then Marcelo just gave me this and said, okay, you go ahead now and improvise this story, this lyric moment.
Enfim, eu fiquei muito tocada quando eu vi, e eu lembrei desse momento. Nossa, é isso.
And I was very touched to see it in the screen and remind me of this freedom that I was given to do this. And yeah.
And my decision that not giving the script for Kika in the first place was exactly that. I think she was going to bring a lot of things for the script.
Yeah.
And I changed the script with things that she was bringing. And she brought a prosodia, away, the words that she picks up to say things was fantastic. And the accent that she put, it's just a song, you know. It's beautiful, the way that she speaks in the film. I didn't say to her to speak in that way. I said, oh my God. I used to say, there was a woman that was working with me preparing the group of the actors to act. We say the consulting for acting. And one day I said, look the way that Kika is speaking. And she said, yeah, let's not going to talk to her about it, leave it. It was beautiful. The accent she put was something that she brought from her memory in the childhood.
Right.
You know, well, I could not make that film without Kika. You know. Kika's the whole film.
Were there any other examples or moments or topics that you felt like this is a sort of taboo we should not go into? For instance, did Lucy say things she did not want to talk about, or did you feel about sensitive topics, or how did you approach that?
Una sola, ma.
You don't have to tell us what she did not want to be said, of course.
No, we were discussing because
discussion.
I know, but like human beings and like trans people are always very different from each other. So Lucy's story is not the story of other trans people. So I don't know. Maybe we had to discuss something that there was one of the main topic, one of the main of the things that Lucy said about her surgery. It was that she regretted her surgery.
Because she did that in early 80s.
In London.
In London, it was a kind of butchery.
Yes.
You know.
And it was like very, very...
and why did you decide to leave that out of the movie?
Yes, because it was something very personal.
It was too personal.
It was something very personal for her. And she says with like quite... She don't have problems to say that.
No, but she told us that I was already a woman before the surgery. And even now, that if I, her words, that now I have a hole, and now I'm not different from before, because I was a woman and I'm still a woman, even if I have a hole, and before I had something different. So it's not important our genitals to define our gender or our identity.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And
this is the
but that's what we spoke a lot about putting it in the movie, and we decided to not put it because I think that
she's very negative about the surgery, because
but
she don't want to
but not for something to to be a taboo, okay? But I think that is from another age. And we thought about all young people, trans people, that could watch the movie and maybe had something, I don't know, negative about it.
Right. You have to explain.
You have to explain.
To explain.
Yes, you cannot put it like in the movie. Yeah.
Okay,
yes.
Surgery is bad.
Okay, yes.
Because surgery can save life of a lot of people.
Yes, and it should be a very deep moment, but it was not like that. So we decided to put it not in the movie.
Right. Yeah.
It needed a very
it needed
discussion.
more explanations, perhaps, and I think also perhaps that doesn't really fit your style because it's not so much the talking and the stories, but more the. And I think the last question almost, and then do we still have room, Dominic? 5 minutes, 10 perhaps for audience. Okay. About topics that are sensitive, about nudity. In your movie, there's a short clip with nudity in the shower. Did you? Were you hesitant about it? Did you?
Yeah, what you did, we discussed a lot with all the actors about all the scenes, including that scene. We discussed with Kika. What you want is not to be, not to objectify the body, but to make a nudity that's very natural. You know, we decided on a common situation in the day. We don't see Paloma the nudity, the frontal nudity when she's doing sex. The sex is just in silhouette, in a very gentle and beautiful way. But when she's in the day-by-day life of her, you know, she has a shower and so on, you see her body, but not in a kind of a way that you see transgender body in other films. It's exactly what you did, to naturalize it, but not to be a kind of a censor. No, we are not going to show. We are so intimate. We have to share the intimacy with Paloma in a different way. Well, we see her having a breakfast. We see her looking after the little girl. We see her work. We see her have a shower.
Right.
You know, in a very gentle and natural way. That was the idea.
Yeah, I think it worked very well because I was impressed with that. And because, to be honest, I personally experienced sort of a reflex on seeing that because we have this history of looking at trans bodies in a voyeuristic way, right? In a sensationalist, like we talked about in all the films, that it's always this curiosity, this wow. And then I saw this, and I thought, but then I noticed that's not the point here. So, Kika, how did you experience this? Because
quando eu vejo a primeira vez que Paloma está nua, eu penso, enquanto espectadora, essa é a mulher que eu vou ver durante o filme. Então, me aproxima da Paloma.
For me, for a viewer, when I see Paloma naked there for the first time in the scene, it kind of brings me closer to Paloma because that's when I notice, okay, this is the woman that I'm going to see throughout this film.
E ela me desmonta com toda a história da vida dela.
And she completely dismantles me with the whole story of her life.
E sobre as gravações, sempre foi criado um ambiente muito confortável. A gente saiu várias vezes, né? O Marcelo reduzia o número de pessoas da equipe no set.
So in terms of the shooting, it was always a very, very comfortable, safe environment. Like when we were shooting these intimate scenes, Marcelo would drastically reduce the number of people on set.
E isso fez com que eu me sentisse à vontade. E já conhecendo o roteiro, super tranquila para compor aquela parte da história.
And this made me feel really at ease, and knowing the screenplay made it feel very natural to just compose this part, write this part of the story.
I'm very happy that we sort of arrived at this point in time in trans cinema, that showing naked trans bodies is no longer something that is wrong or voyeuristic, but it's just showing in a beautiful way as facts of life. So, any questions from the audience? We've talked a long time now, and I sort of ignored your. Please go ahead.
I'd like to know what is the reaction about the audience, especially in Italy, the church, the public, and the visitors. It's a conservative country, traditional Catholic. How's the reaction? How is this accepted?
Very good.
Very good. Also, Catholic people. I don't know church because I don't go in any church. But I know that a lot of Catholic people look at our story, at the Lucy's story, as a very touching story, and they didn't care about the gender identity or other stuff.
Lucy has a power. She's old. And when she says something, you believe in her.
Old and wise.
She's a survivor too. So she has this power, and she has the power also with Catholic people. You believe her when she says something.
To make them think that their religion is a religion to be a community, to be accepted, to be.
Yes.
And sometimes it's not like that because of who is administrating this
Yes,
religion.
Yes.
Yes, but it was always there, but it was just behind the curtain, for example, and now it is open.
Yeah.
So it provocates the
No,
normal people.
not that much.
No?
We as Italians are, as I was saying, very far. We are not like our institutions. So, but we don't have marriage, equalitarian marriage.
Or a parliament nor church as institution.
We don't have for like LGBT people like the marriage. We have equalitarian like.
So not the official one, but something.
Civilian union, but we don't have equiparation. Okay. So, but people don't care about it. If they do something like a referendum, I'm quite sure that the marriage, the equalitarian marriage, will win because nobody cares about it. It's only politics. It's only all politics that cares about what we are doing with our partners and we are our lovers. Okay.
I hope in Germany also it is the same thing. It's something new. Formerly till 68, 67, it was a forbidden 17 years jail. For example, now it is open, and now the public is also liberal, but even then, it's always there's a distance to look at these things with a slide of.
But there's something that in Italy is very powerful that you don't have to show that much. You can do it, but you can do it at your home, and you have to do it privately. That's why we do Pride.
That's why we also made the experience here in Germany also. People say, can go ahead, this can be done, but you should not show, exhibit it, not exhibition. Do it whatever you like. It's your personal thing.
This means that we didn't gain the goal. we are a little bit far from the goal.
But that's why we are doing all prides.
Any other questions?
But
Yeah.
compliment that you are taking this courage
Thanks.
to make such films.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I was asking myself, you told us that there are no transgender actors in Italy, and I was asking myself, why? Is that exactly because what you were actually talking about now, that there is the thought of, oh, okay, you can do whatever you want, but you can't do it, show it? Or why is that? I mean, it's very, very brave that you as filmmakers now sit there and do a documentary about this woman. So, yeah, why is that there isn't a transgender actor or an actress?
Because I don't know
Oh,
why.
it's
because
difficult to explain this topic because it's very difficult. We don't have like transgender actor or actresses. We don't have disabled actors
Really?
or actresses. We don't have a lot of things. So we do like have to.
And this doesn't mean that a gay character have to be acted by a gay actor for us, you know? Okay, an
Not
actor
at
is
all.
an actor, not at all.
Yeah.
But should
right
be great,
now,
should be great.
right now, we don't have that kind of representation.
I think it might be. I'm sorry to interpret, but I would think it's a matter of time.
Yes,
Because
I'm
we
telling
we
you.
had that same situation in the Netherlands 3 years ago, and now
But it's
it's
important.
coming, right?
If you want to show a story like the nudity part of the movie you told before, that you need that character, that actress or actor.
Yeah.
You need that one. And sometimes trans people is only used to make some extra in the fictionary movies, some extra, and always a prostitute or something funny or showgirl. In Italian television, there is some transgender woman, but it's mainstream television. It's like a carnival. No? You know.
I think the future will be a bit better. I guess.
I hope so.
I hope so. We are trying.
We are
to
doing our
best.
best.
I think we have to stop now, unless there's, or you can just approach them later, because it's quite 10 to 7 already.
Yeah,
So
if you want to ask something, we will be downstairs drinking a beer. If you want to ask something more, you can do that.
and again, the next screening tonight, you can see The Wonderful Life of Lucy, and the Q&A after. So you'll be around to talk to you if you want to. That's tonight, on Monday at 5 o'clock in City 2, in the city. This is about A Breath of Life, the Italian movie, tonight at 8 o'clock downstairs in the big hall, theaterzaal, and Monday at 5. And Paloma will be screened Monday at 12 and another time, Wednesday.
Monday at noon and Wednesday at 1 p.m.
And don't forget to vote, because these are both up for audience awards. So if you really like it, and I'm sure you will, both of them, enjoy both the movies, then don't forget to vote afterwards. So thank you very much. Oh, you have, sorry, one very, very short.
Fora Bolsonaro.
Fora Bolsonaro!
Thank you. Obrigado. Grazie.